Late last night, while most of the world was asleep and financial markets were quiet, a heavy cargo aircraft lifted off from Misia Airport in Caracas, Venezuela. There was nothing ordinary about this flight. No public flight plan was filed, no destination was declared. And shortly after entering international airspace, the aircraft's transponder was deliberately switched off, making it invisible to civilian air traffic systems. To the casual observer, this flight never existed, but satellites do not sleep, and intelligence-grade tracking systems recorded every mile of its journey. This plane did not fly west toward Miami or north toward Europe. It flew east, crossing the Atlantic, passing over Africa, cutting through carefully selected air corridors, and eventually landing in Beijing. That single flight tells a story far bigger than Venezuela, far bigger than silver, and far bigger than money itself. According to multiple intelligence sources, this was not a commercial shipment, not humanitarian aid, and not industrial equipment. This was the emergency evacuation of Venezuela's remaining strategic reserves of silver and gold. President Nicolas Maduro, facing growing pressure, isolation, and the constant threat of foreign intervention or internal collapse, made a decision that governments only make when they believe the system is about to break. He liquidated what was left of the nation's real money. This was not a trade-seeking profit, it was a survival maneuver. The metal is gone, removed from Venezuelan soil, and now sits deep inside Chinese-controlled vaults, beyond the reach of Western sanctions, courts, and banks. This is not unprecedented. In 2019, similar ghost flights were detected moving Venezuelan gold to Russia and Turkey as Caracas tried to bypass U.S. sanctions. What is different now is the metal involved and the timing. This time, silver is the centerpiece. And silver, unlike gold, sits at the heart of modern civilization. It is essential to electronics, renewable energy, military hardware, communications, and advanced weapon systems. Silver is not just money, it is infrastructure, and China understands this better than anyone. China currently produces the overwhelming majority of the world's solar panels and consumes massive amounts of silver to do it. They know the US dollar has become a weapon, not a neutral medium of exchange. Any nation holding its wealth in dollars or Western banks risks having that wealth frozen, confiscated, or rendered unusable overnight. Venezuela learned this lesson the hard way when its gold stored abroad was seized. This time, there was no trust left to gamble. Physical metal was moved directly into friendly hands. Every ounce of silver that leaves Caracas and lands in Beijing is an ounce that will never reach Western commodity exchanges. It will never be sold on the COMEX. It will never relieve market shortages. It is removed from global circulation, effectively forever. And that is why this matters to you. The global silver market is incredibly small. A few hundred tons disappearing can tighten supply chains worldwide. It means manufacturers like Apple, Tesla, Samsung, and defense contractors now compete for fewer ounces. It means retail premiums rise. It means your local coin shop feels the impact within days. Western media will not frame this as a strategic failure. Instead, they will attempt to rebrand silver itself as morally tainted. Expect narratives about conflict silver or blood metal. When the West loses control of a resource, it does not adapt, it demonizes. Regulatory pressure, import restrictions, and narrative warfare always follow. But China does not care about narratives. China cares about physics, about weight, about atoms. In a resource war, moral outrage does not build missiles. Metal does. This operation did not happen in isolation. Russian Wagner-linked security elements have reportedly provided protection for similar shipments. Russia itself is stockpiling precious metals to sanction-proof its economy. What we are witnessing is the formation of a commodity-based alliance, China, Russia, Venezuela, Iran, and others, constructing a parallel financial system that bypasses the U.S. Treasury entirely. Silver functions perfectly inside this system because it is valuable, transportable, anonymous, and universally accepted. This also explains why COMEX vaults appear increasingly strained. Demand is not coming from retail investors alone. Sovereign governments are preparing for conflict. When governments expect instability, they hoard real money. Venezuela emptying its vaults signals extreme fear at the state level. And if governments with intelligence access are running for the exits, individuals should be asking themselves why they are still fully exposed to fiat systems. The United States is aware of these flights. Satellites cover every inch of the globe. But stopping a plane in international airspace is an act of war. Washington is watching its influence physically fly away, unable to intervene. This silence confirms something uncomfortable: the decline of American financial dominance. The U.S. can print unlimited currency, but it cannot stop physical wealth from moving east. This was not a gift, it was a barter deal. Venezuela sent silver. China sent technology, surveillance systems, and possibly weapons. No dollars were used. This is the future of trade among BRICS-aligned nations. Resources exchanged directly for strategic goods. When the dollar is removed as the middleman, its value collapses. This flight is part of a pattern. Ghana using gold to buy oil. Venezuela using silver to buy protection. Tomorrow it may be Saudi Arabia. The world is quietly abandoning the fiat experiment and returning to commodities. And as this accelerates, Western governments will respond the only way they know how: capital controls. Restrictions on buying metal, restrictions on moving cash, restrictions on leaving jurisdictions. Venezuela imposed capital controls years ago. Now they are breaking them to survive. The irony is unmistakable. Some analysts claim the flight carried industrial machinery. This explanation collapses under scrutiny. Heavy security, special forces, night departure. Weight manifests consistent with bullion. You do not run a covert military-grade operation to ship spare parts, you do it to move treasure. This single flight encapsulates the global economy. The West trades paper, derivatives, debt, and promises. The East trades manufacturing, infrastructure, and commodities. In times of peace, paper works. In times of conflict, only physical assets matter. For the people of Venezuela, this represents the final looting of the nation. Their currency is already dead. Their savings are gone. Hyperinflation will follow. But it serves as a warning to the rest of the world. When governments grow desperate, they sell national assets to survive one more day. The U.S. draining its strategic reserves is not fundamentally different, just earlier in the timeline. Despite billions in metal moving, the paper-silver price barely reacted. This exposes the fraud. The spot price reflects paper bets, not physical reality. In a true market, such a movement would cause violent repricing. It did not, because the real trade happened outside the system. Intelligence analysts suggest this liquidation precedes a major event. Governments do not move treasuries overnight unless they expect banks to close or bombs to fall. The calm in markets is artificial. Underneath, tectonic plates are shifting. The plane has landed. The silver is gone. The balance of power has shifted. This is not conspiracy. It is logistics. Weight, measure, reality. Do not be left holding paper when the next plane leaves without you. The game has changed.